when I went up to Canada, they as soon as I got off the plane, they scanned my passport. My website popped up. They asked me a couple of questions. They said, you're going to be under arrest. I said, arrest for what? Have I done anything wrong? No. You charging me with a crime? No. I don't need arrest. Well, we're going to give you arrest. Well, I don't need an arrest. And they're like, well, you're going to be arrested. I said, oh, really? I said, okay, then from everything that I do from this point forward, it's against my will and it's against my wishes, and you're going to have to order me. So everything you tell me to do from now on is going to be a form of an order. Do you understand? And they were like, okay. And I said, okay, and I'll be more than willing to do whatever you order me to do. One, because I'm going to be compensated because you're a man and I'm a man, and I've done no wrong. And two, you got a gun. I said, so you boys order me around? And it's so funny, when I got on a plane, I made sure, the very last thing I said to them is I turned around and shook their hands. I said, well, I hope it's been a pleasure for you folks. I said, did I serve you well? And they said, yes. I said, did I carry out all your orders? They said, yes, you served us well, and you carried out our orders. I said, have a nice day, man. And they realized I was recording when they said that. So I'm going to put that up on the website where the man said, yep, you served us well, and you carried out all our orders. You see what I'm saying? So it's a lot of fun that I realized that, I said, as soon as I got there, they put in my passport, my website popped up. I saw the icon of the pawn, the chess piece, and the king. I said, uh-oh. I said, that's not a good sign. It happened when me and Gus came back from Canada, when we went into the American side. But they ran my passport, and I looked around the edge of the guy's computer screen. I saw my website. And I said, oh, you're looking at my website, huh? He said, yeah. He said, what's the word of the month? I said, capitalize. I said, you want me to explain minimus, medius, maximus to you? He says, no, that won't be necessary. So see, wherever I'm going and they put my passport through, my web page is popping up and showing them that this is what and who this man is who's standing in front of them. So when I went to Canada the other day, the same thing happened to me. I saw the web page pop up. It's like, oh, here we go. This should be interesting. Because, like I said, when I just asked them, what's going on? And I said, it's the website, isn't it? And they said, yes. I said, well, I was told the Crown's scared shitless of me. And they said, yeah, they are. I said, okay, that's good. That makes me feel good. At least they're scared shitless of me. Must mean I'm on the right track. They wouldn't be scared shitless of somebody who's a clown. I said, I'm nonviolent. I said, they're not afraid of my arms. They're not afraid of my legs. They're afraid of my brain, and they're afraid of my mouth. I said, so that makes me feel good. Then I must be on the right track, or they wouldn't be doing this to me. So they were like, look, it's nothing personal. It just says that we are not to allow you to, enter into Canada. I said, that's fine. I said, but you also signed the UN Charter back in 1946, 1949. That's like Section 14. It says that a human being cannot be encumbered by a border. I said, in his right to travel the earth or circumvent the earth or to go from point A to point B. I said, I don't know literally what it says, but you guys signed a treaty saying that you can interfere with a man's right to travel, interfere with a human being's ability to cross the border. I said, and you are. I said, you're in violation of a treaty. And they said, well, wait a second, we got the Immigration Act of Canada. I said, oh, really? Do you have a copy of that? Well, no. So you're saying that under the Immigration Act of Canada, you can stop me from, going to help my fellow man? He's like, well, yes. I said, can I see where it says that in the Immigration Act? He says, well, I don't have a copy of the Immigration Act yet. So you're just doing this off the top of your head, huh? Is that what you think? I said, yeah, that's smart. You could actually recite the Immigration Act of Canada. He says, when you got here to Canada, we asked you what you were coming up here to do. I said, I said, there's a man and his son have a maple syrup company in Campsack. And the dad got in trouble, and I'm here to help him. I said, what more did you want me to say? He said, well, you didn't tell him that you were up here to give him legal advice. I said, I'm not. I'm not up here to give him legal advice. I'm here to help them because they got in trouble with the legal society. And I'm going to try to aid and assist them in any way I can. So I said, why don't you go out in the lobby and ask these people? They're waiting to pick me up. Why don't you ask them if the stories match? So they did. They went out in the lobby and they talked to the man's name is Chris and Alan Bennett. So they said to Chris, now, what's this man up here to do? He said, well, my dad got in trouble and he's up here to help. And so the man asked him, so he's here to give him legal advice. Both of these, like the dad said, no, he's not here to give us legal advice. He doesn't know anything legal. He's not here to advise us legally. He just wants to see if he could help us, in court. But no, not legal advice. So it's funny, when the guy came back, so I said, did you ask him, was I up here to help him? He's like, yeah. Did they say if I was going to come in here to give him any legal advice? He's like, no. They said, you don't do legal. He's like, I don't do legal. I don't care about legal. And, there's a common law land. Legal means nothing. Legal is so far down on the totem pole in this, in this nation, it's not even funny. He said, well, they kept trying to say, well, I said, now how are you going to interfere with my, ability to go from point A to point B? Why you believe as a man that you could tell me where I can and cannot go? He says, well, again, it's the Immigration Act of Canada. I said, let me explain something to you. Let's say immigrate. Okay, let's do migrate. Do I look like a migratory animal? And so do I look like a water buffalo, a bison, or a whooping crane? Do I look like a sea otter? Do I look like salmon? Or do I look like the Sioux Indian tribe? Do I look like a migrant? Do I look like something that a migratory, animal? He's like, well, no. I said, so let me see. Immigration, migrate, migratory. So I'm not migrating here, am I? No. So then, what act are you relying upon again? Something to do with migrants? He says, well, you're a visitor. I was like, visitor, V-I-S, visitor. No. I looked at myself and said, no, I don't look like a visitor. No, you know what? I'm a man. I'm a man. Visitor? No. He says, well, under the Immigration Act, we can control visitors. I said, yeah, that's probably true. You probably, control visitors, guests, migrants. But I can't accept any of those titles at this time. I can't be encumbered by such a burden. I said, but what I can be called, you can call me man. I am a man. You are a man. You cannot touch me. You have no power over me because I've done no wrong. I said, have I done anything illegal? No. Have I done anything wrong? No. But still yet, you're going to shackle me, cage me, and touch me. They're like, yes. This is lovely. And I said, and this is all because you have a gun and I don't. Okay, I see how this is. Fine, lovely. And I said, from this point forward, everything that you're doing is in a form of an order. And I will carry out all the orders. So that way nothing happens to me. That way I don't fall in the back of a ditch somewhere with a bullet in my head. I said, how's that? And he's like, well, nothing like that's going to happen. I said, how do I know? How do I know what you're looking on that screen? How do I know? How do I know that it doesn't say, hey, you know what, have this guy have an accident? Have this guy accidentally hang himself in the prison cell. How do I know? How do I know what that screen says, what you should do next? I said, because believe me, whatever that screen says for you to do to me, you're going to do it. I said, because I just see that look that you have. You just love this job. If it said put a bullet in my head or have an accident in a prison cell and have me strangle myself in my own belt, it's going to happen. I said, because you're just going to carry out what you're ordered to do. And you're not going to have one problem carrying out disorders. I said I could just tell. I said I could read you that well. You'd have no problem doing whatever they say to do to me. You would do it in a heartbeat. I said, you know what? I said, I understand. I said, I understand the Nuremberg trials. I said, I come from a German family. I understand the evil in people. I said, you'd have no problem hurting me. If they told you to, you'd be saying, not a problem. You can just tell. Certain people just have this, this evil streak in them. So like I said to people, I said, I'm going to make a nice, easy, simple claim. I'm going to send it to whoever, I believe his name is like Harper's and the guy in charge of Canada up there, the government of Canada. I'm going to send them a bill for carrying out all their orders and for being in violation of the UN treaty. It's going to be, 4 or 5 sentences. It's going to be pretty simple. And there's nothing going to be amazing about it. I'm going to just basically say to them, I want whatever, like $10,000 for interfering in my right to go from point A to point B, loss of, my time, stress, and then I'm going to say, and I'm going to sue you for like $10 billion for being in violation of the UN treaty charter. But I'll not pursue the $10 billion if, from this point forward, any man who appears, or any human being who appears at the border and says he wishes to go from point A to point B, that he wishes to circumnavigate the earth like it clearly says in the UN Charter, if you allow that man to go about his business at his pleasure, you must allow that to happen. But if a visitor shows up at the border, or a U.S. citizen shows up at the border, or a guest shows up at the border, you can smash him like a grape, like you're trying to do to me right now. But if a man shows up, you have to let the man go through. But if a citizen shows up, or a guest, or a traveler shows up, do whatever the code says to do. Because I would not accept the title of traveler, citizen, visitor, guest. I wouldn't accept any of those. I said, no, I'm a man. You're a man, I'm a man. This is a common law land. This still runs on the King James Version of the Bible. You are in the image of God, I'm in the image of God. We are equals. You have no power, no authority to cause me any harm or to stop me from going from point A to point B. Unless you have you have any affidavit or anything on file that a man or woman has said I've done anything wrong to Canada in the past? No. I've been up here 5 times this year. Have I done anything wrong to anybody? No. I said the whole thing, and then is the Crown's just scared shitless of me. They're like, yes. I said, okay, I could live with that. That's fine. As long as you're not saying that I'm up here, distributing like kiddie porno or drugs or weapons. No, we're not charging you with anything. Oh, good. Because you can just make up shit as you go along. What the hell am I really going to do about it? Like I said, you can stick a stash of kiddie porno in my suitcase right now, or heroin or cocaine or bullets or guns. And yeah. So I'm grateful that the only thing that you people are telling me is they're scared of you because of what you say. Oh, good. I can live with that. Because, like I said, I'm from New York, and plenty of times a cop would just throw, pot in the guy's front seat. Oh, look at what we found, a bag of pot. Oh, look what we found, a bag of cocaine. They did that to some guy who robbed a pocketbook in the Treasure Island show. They said, oh, look what we found. We found 2 kilos of cocaine under your bed. So that way he could go to jail for the rest of his life. Just because he robbed a Scottish lady's pocketbook during the middle of the pirate show at Treasure Island. So they were going to teach everybody an example. Don't come down here and rob the tourists. Or we will put 2 kilos of cocaine under your bed, and you will go to jail for the rest of your life for stealing an empty pocketbook, basically, with maybe some lipstick and a tissue in it. So when he went to jail, he told all his buddies, you know what, well, I was hard up, I was homeless, and, I didn't have no money, whatever. So I went down into Vegas, and I was, tried to steal pocketbooks from tourists, and, yeah, well, they caught me, and you know what? They said they found 2 kilos of cocaine, which is like 5 pounds of cocaine, which is ridiculous. It's like $60,000 worth of cocaine. Why would somebody who's stealing pocketbooks who has $50,000 of cocaine steal maybe an empty or full pocketbook from an 80-year-old Scottish lady who's watching a pirate show on a sidewalk? So, like I said, I've seen cops do that, set people up. So I'm just grateful that these guys didn't set me up. So, but like I said, it's nice that, because like I said now, it's nice that now I can make a claim. And I can show you folks, this is how you make a claim when somebody keeps you from going from point A to point B. And now it's going to be like an international claim, which makes it even more fun, instead of just making a local claim. And like I said, if I make it just a little simple, give me $10,000, it's not really going to be any kind of headline news. But if I say, now give me $10,000 plus $10 billion, it's going to make news in Canada big time. So that's what's funny is they're going to say, well, we were trying to keep this guy information from reaching, the Canadian people. Now this guy has filed a lawsuit for $10 billion. Now it's all over the internet. It's all over our evening news. Oh, this was just really brilliant what we did. Oh, this was just a stroke of genius. Let's arrest this guy. So he just turned around and sued us for $10 billion. So the whole world sees the most ridiculous lawsuit like ever filed, or the most amount of money ever filed. That's all I got to do. Say, hey, what's the highest lawsuit that was ever filed in Canada? They'll say it was like $10 billion. Okay, I'll do $10 billion and $1. Just to make it so that everybody's going to say, well, what just came across the desk? What just came across what lawsuit just got filed up here? They'll say, what, $10 billion? Who the hell sued us for $10 billion? Oh, some guy named Carl. For what? Oh, well, we wouldn't let him over the border. Why didn't we let him over the border? Well, he's got a website. Well, what about his website? Does it say, burn down Canada? It's like, well, no. It just shows people how to go to court. So he's a lawyer? No. So he's doing some legal work up here? No. It's just going to make them scratch their heads. Then, why did we stop him? Because his stuff works. And that's a bad thing? Oh, it's a very bad thing. The people up here in Canada don't need to know that they're really in control of the government. The legal society wants to be in control. It's like, well, why does the legal society want to be in control? Well, that's because they don't have to get dirty and work or get their hands filthy every day. That way they could be a bunch of lazy bastards and sit around and tell everybody, what's right or wrong, and never do a lick of work for their whole entire lives. And everybody else who's out there in Canada who's working, busting ass, well, we can control them and we can take their money from them. And that's what I tell people. I said, the legal society doesn't really mess with people who are like, 20, 30 years old. They wait until you guys hit 50, 60, 70, 80. When you guys have worked and saved your whole entire lives and you've built up a nice nest egg, now they're going to attack the nest egg. Mm-hmm. They're not going to get you when you're 20 or 30 years old because you don't got anything. You're in debt to your eyeballs. They're going to get you when you start to get successful, when you start to open up businesses, when you start to have a profession or a trade, when you start to get some real money coming into your lives. Then they're really going to come after you. It's just like a leech or a tick. That's all they do. That's why being a lawyer and practicing legal in this country is like 500 years old. But for the first 200 years, if you got caught practicing like legalese in the Americas over here, it was a death sentence. Either they'd give you kill you instantly, or they'd throw you over the colony, the stockade wall, and you could have at it with the Indians, the local Indians. And the people who, they said everybody chose death. Nobody chose to be thrown out into the wilderness. So because of the logic was, if somebody practiced legalese, if there was a lawyer somewhere in the colonies, they said within 1 year, whoever that lawyer attorney would own the colony. If there was 2 lawyers within 1 year, they would own the colony and they would control it. So that's how well these guys are word nerds, how they manipulate words and get normal people to basically sign your soul over to them, sign over your house, sign your children over, sign everything over. These people are such master manipulators. That's why people are like, did you sign that birth certificate? Yeah. Did you sign your child over to them? Well, did I? What do you think you were doing? I don't know. So then why did you do something that you don't know? Well, they just told me to do it. Really? And you just do it because somebody says do it. Well, they said it was a law. Whose law? Well, it's the law of Canada. How about the law of man? Well, I don't know anything about law of man, but the law of Canada, I'm in Canada. I said, okay, let me put it this way, like I said to those guys. I said, how about the law of Canada? You're saying there's a law of Canada, huh? I said, what happens, next week or next year when Canada's gone? And they just started laughing, Canada gone. I said, oh, okay, really funny. This is like saying in 1989 to a Soviet citizen, what happened when the Soviet Union is gone? And they just would laugh at me. Oh, the Soviet Union, we are going to last for 10,000 years. We cover 10 time zones. We are the biggest country on planet Earth. We are so big, we have 10 time zones. Yep, so what happens next week when you guys are gone? And the Soviet Union is no longer up and running. There's no longer a functioning government. Then what are you going to do? You put me in jail for what? Because the act of the Soviet Union? Oh, because an act of Canada? Oh, so you're going to touch me because an act of Canada told you to touch me? Well, what happened when an act of Soviet Union told them to touch another man? And the Soviet Union disappeared the next day. Then what happened to that guy that they touched? Well, they put him in jail for 10 years. did they just let everybody out because he did a crime against the Soviet Union? So you're saying I'm doing a crime against Canada? He's like, no, nobody's saying that you did a crime against Canada. I said, then how are you doing this to me? They said, oh, well, you're going to withdraw your application to enter Canada. I'm going to, what? Yes, you're going to voluntarily withdraw your application. What do you mean? You're going to sign this piece of paper and say, you're going to say you do not wish to be in Canada. Really? And if I don't, oh, you're going to sit in a cage. So they had me sign a withdrawal that I do not wish to go to Canada at this time. They said, you want to go back in the cage? I was already in there for 25 hours. Like, you want to go back? Well, sign the piece of paper and go home. I said, I'll sign the piece of paper and go home. No, I'll go back in the cage. It was ridiculous. Well, it was a lot. To me, it was a lot of fun. That it's like a learning experience that I could, tell people. And thank God I actually got some video of them when they were putting me on the plane to go back home. And thank God I got them to say, yes, you've been a good servant. You served us well. Good. Now you're going to compensate your servant. And Gus heard it a little bit, and some other people I let listen to it a little bit. But I said, you know what, I'll put it on my website so you guys could actually see them walking me onto the plane. So, but like I said, I'm just grateful that, it wasn't North Korea or something like that, and they said, just put a bullet in his brain and throw him in the back of the building. Throw him in a ditch. Thank God that didn't pop up on the screen. Thank God it just said, do not let this guy in for any reason whatsoever. Make up whatever you got to do, just get him out of here. So I kept asking him, did I violate some sort of immigration act? No. Did I break the law? No. He charged me with a crime? No. Have I done anything wrong? No. Is there anybody who said that I've done something wrong in the past up here? Is anybody, it's like an outstanding warrant for me here in Canada? No. Anybody press charges on me here? No. So what are you doing? They said, just don't let you in. Based on what? And he said, they're scared shitless. I said, okay. They're scared shitless of what? I'm not going to touch nobody. I'm not going to hurt nobody. What are you talking about? Oh, I said, they're scared shitless of my mouth. They're scared shitless of my brain. I see. So just because they're scared shitless of ideas and thoughts, that's enough? He's like, that's enough. That's all they need. I said, okay. I said, I feel bad for the people of Canada. That the government could tell them what they can and cannot say, what they can and cannot think, what they can and cannot read. Oh, well. Because I always say, that's what I said to them on the border. I said, look, you listen to my show from last week. I said a lot of nice things about Canadians. I said they're smart people, they're intelligent, they're very social, active people. They get together as a community. I said, wow. I said, it's a shame that, that you really think that by not letting me in with the advent of the Internet and Skype and all these shows I have on the Internet already, for some reason, if you don't think if I just drop dead and die right now, what I've said for the last 2-3 years is still going to go on. I said, I've said everything I need to say to these Canadian people. It's all there on the Internet. It's all there on my past shows. What are you going to do? Get rid of all my old shows? What are you going to do? Get rid of, all of the YouTube videos? So now how are you going to stop this? I said, maybe if you did this to me 2-3 years ago, yeah, I wouldn't have such an impact on Canada or the Canadian people. I said, but now? I said, man, it's just going to be like exponential. First I told 1, then 2 goes to 4, then 4 goes to 16. It's just going to get sillier and sillier for you people. I don't know how you're going to put the genie back in the bottle. I don't know how you're going to do it. It's already out there. How are you going to control the Internet? I said, I drop dead and die right now, buddy. I said, I'm explaining to you. My stuff's going to go on, with or without me. I said, and it's funny when people just like Google on the Internet my name, or they Google CalmInLaw, or they Google government, or they Google, court, my name pops up. And people are going to stumble into this YouTube videos for the next 5, 10, 20 years. They're going to pop into this stuff. I said, how are you going to control that? I said, it's not like the good old days. I said, the legal society, they don't understand. It's not like the good old days where people like me, we had to go to a library. We had to read the books. We actually had to try to find every single thing that was written down somewhere. And obviously the stuff that's written down is written down by lawyers. stuff that's written down by somebody like me, a man, would be pulled out of the libraries, wouldn't be published. So for me to find something in a library was almost impossible. For these kids to find things on the internet, they're going to find it in microseconds. I said, I don't have any idea how to explain to you. The good times for the legal society is over. The easy times of just being able to put a bullet in one guy's head or burn his book is over. I said, now it's on the internet. What are you going to do? How are you going to shut the internet down? I don't know. I said, but good luck. I said, good luck with trying to stop what's on the internet now. I said, because I'm talking to people all over the world that I would have never met if it was still back in the days of paper, pen, and ink and a stamp. It would have never happened. That's why I just, like, most of the time, like I said, it was paper, pen, and ink up until about, to me, 5 years ago. I just wanted to be as far away from people as possible because no matter who I talked to, nobody had a clue what I was doing. Nobody had an idea what I was thinking. Nobody had, it was like, what? The government is this? What? We're in control? What? You're out of your mind. They're going to get us. They're going to get you. They who? You mean a man? You mean a woman? Oh, no, they are going to get you, Carl. They who? It sounds like a freaking 1950s a horror movie like ants or grasshoppers. They. Here comes them. Here comes they. Them who? You mean a man? Yeah, a man's going to come after you. Yeah, well, then I'm going to hold that man liable if he touches me. It's like, oh, he's from the FBI. I don't care if he's from Mars. I don't care where he's from. He's from God, I'm from God. He's from his dad, I'm from his dad. He's from his mother, I'm from my mother. We're equals. Just because he's wearing a badge doesn't give him the right to touch me. It's like, well, that's what the law says. What law? The law of this land, there must be injury, harm, or loss. There's no injury, harm, or loss. You better not touch me. I'm going to hold him liable. How are you going to hold him liable? I'm going to take him to court. You can't sue an FBI guy. I'm not. I'm going to sue the man who's happened to wear an FBI badge. How are you going to do that? Watch me. It's simple. It's like, well, they who? It's like, you know what? I'm done with you people. You know what? I'm just going to go live out in the middle of the mountains in the middle of freaking nowhere and just do my thing with my animals and die. You know what? You people are too thick. I ain't dealing with it. And then next thing I know, boom, I listened to a law show. I was fixing a tractor outside, and I heard this guy give this guy some really bad legal advice about the IRS, that Mark Stevens guy, and the man is still sitting in jail, the doctor's still sitting in jail for listening to that guy's stupid advice. And I came running in the house, and I jumped on the radio, and I said, you got to got on the show, got to the switchboard, you got to get me on the show. Why? Because this doctor's going to jail. This guy's got absolutely no clue what he's telling this guy. So they put me right through, and they said, yeah, there's a call. He says it's an emergency, and he says, I don't have an effing clue what I'm doing. Yeah, caller, what's your name? Where you from? Da-da-da-da-da. I said, yeah, let me ask you one simple question, Mark. I said, when you go to a United States tax court, who's the defendant? He says, duh, like Dr. Mike would be. I said, Mike, you run to the IRS, local IRS agency, and you start cutting out a deal with them. You start paying a bill. You start saying that, give me a bill, any bill. I don't care if it's $1 trillion. You accept that bill and you start making payments. I mean, now, what are you looking at? How many years are they looking at? 3 years, buddy. You're going to get all of that. They are the IRS is the defendant. And Mark's like, you're crazy. Mike's the defendant. I said, no, Mike's the petitioner. He says, no, Mike's the defendant. Okay, Mike, did you get a tax assessment? Yes. Are you petitioning it? Yes. Are you challenging it? Yes. Did they send you something that's called a petition? If you wish to petition our assessment, to take this petition to your local, in the United States tax court? Yes. Did you do such an act? Yes. You're a petitioner. Guess what? A petitioner is somebody who's praying or supplicating to a higher deity or authority. You are begging to them. You are saying they are your God. You have no idea what you're doing, do you, Mark? You have no idea the words that this man is speaking, do you? You have no idea what you're saying. This man is going to jail. He says, no, he's not. He's going to get the IRS on the witness stand and said, the defendant doesn't have to appear. The IRS is not going to appear. The defendant doesn't have to bear witness against himself. It's never going to happen. I said, what the hell are you thinking? So he's like, well, I was like, well, thank you for your advice and but you know what? I've been doing this a long time. I said, holy shit. I said, I don't know how to tell you this, buddy. My mom was in the IRS tax auditor for years. She told me how this works. You're out of your mind. I said, dude, do you pay your taxes, Mark? He's like, well, yeah, my wife would kill me if I don't. I said, so why are you telling this doctor not to pay his taxes? He said, well, I'm not telling him not to pay him, but he just chooses that he doesn't want to. I said, look, this guy's got He's got an actual practice up there in southern Idaho. He's got a wife, 2 kids. He likes going to Vegas. He's got a Cadillac Escalade. He's got a couple of nurses on staff. And the doctor's like, I don't want everybody to know this about me. I said, what? What do you mean you don't want everybody to know this about you? Well, I've been talking to you. I went on PACER, public access to court and electronic records. Yeah, your case is coming up next Tuesday. You like going to Vegas. It says right there, you stay at the Mirage. It's all public knowledge. Don't tell me, well, I don't want that information again now. Dude, I just Googled you. I just went on PACER and found out exactly who you are and what you're up against. Dude, stop paying the IRS something. Call me up during the week, and I'll show you how to make payments to them. Well, he's like, well, Mark's like, well, the tree of tyranny has got to be fed at times with the blood of patriots and tyrants. I said, Doc, do you believe that too? He's like, yeah. I said, dude, you're going to play with your blood, all right. You're going down. You're going to lose. You're going to lose hard. You have no effing clue what you're doing, do you? So like I said, that's what got me started, just from hearing some really bad advice, because I'm up here in the middle of nowhere. I get no radio transmissions. I get no television signals. I had to listen to the Internet. I finally got a high-speed Internet dish outside. I was listening to some LRN, Liberty Radio Network, and because it's free, and I couldn't believe this bad advice I heard, and that's what got me involved with letting everybody know that these gurus who are telling these people all this nonsense on these radio shows don't have an effing clue what they're doing. And they're going to get you all in trouble. And part of me is thinking, not that they are plants, but what it is like you hear Trinity versus Pagliaro, and there's a guy named Richard Cornsforth, really nice man, but when he says the Trinity versus Pagliaro case, back in like 1965, whatever it was, there was a little tiny court in a little tiny, like North Dakota, South Dakota, a local mom-and-pop courthouse, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the citation he's using, and you certainly can't use a ruling from North Dakota or South Dakota local county court in New Hampshire, Virginia, Florida. You can't use it. It's not a Supreme Court case. And everybody's spouting this around like crazy. So like I say to people, the legal society puts these cases out there that don't exist, or they do exist, but they're not cited correctly, or they lead you to believe it has some sort of major impact on decisions nowadays from the Supreme Court. There was another one back from like 1804, 1805. It was Savannah versus something. I forgot what the name of it was. But every Patriot website has this ridiculous Savannah versus whatever. And it had to do with some haberdashery or some clothing store, and the guy was displaying women's like undergarments in Savannah. It had nothing to do with something about man has the right to it was ridiculous. I said, look, this was a little Andy Griffith mom-and-pop courthouse in the middle of the city of Savannah in 19... It's not a Supreme Court ruling. It's a ridiculous little case that some law students must have just threw up there to your Patriot movement just to make you guys look like fools. When you run into court, like Trinity versus Pagliaro, Hale versus Hinkle, Savannah, City of Savannah versus, I was like, holy cow, you guys are just going to get, it's going to be a bloodbath. They're going to eat you for lunch. They're going to destroy you. Walk in there, talk like a man. Don't worry what happened with Mr. Hale and Mr. Hinkle. You weren't there. You don't know why the judges ruled in their favor. You don't know if the judge was the best friend of his mom. You have no clue if the guy, spit at the judge. You don't know why he ruled that way in 1902. Don't worry about it. Stop using these ridiculous citations. Just go into court and start acting like a man. Say, hey, I'm making a claim. Hey, who's making a claim against me? Hey, do you have an affidavit? Somebody's going to affirm this affidavit and verify in open court saying I've done something wrong? No. So what the hell are you doing to me? Why are you interfering with my right to go from point A to point B? Why are you putting your hands on me? Well, the Immigration Act of Canada. Oh, the Immigration Act of Canada says you can put your hands on me. Good. Can I see it, Immigration Act of Canada? I'm sure you have one here. I'm sure you certainly wouldn't be touching me unless you knew for sure that the Immigration Act of Canada clearly says that you, Jimmy Snively, or Snively, however you pronounce his name, can touch Karl Lentz. Where does it say that? Or where does it say that a man wearing a badge could touch a man who's not wearing a badge? Can you show me the Immigration Act of Canada? Because all you keep saying to me, well, the Immigration Act of Canada gives me the right. It doesn't give you any rights. It gives you duties, responsibilities, and obligations. And there's no duty, obligation, or responsibility that ever permits you to harm, injure, or cause loss to your fellow man. So like I said, it was a lot of fun to just be able to run through the stuff as fast as I could in front of these three, well, it was four, sometimes border agents. The oldest one was laughing his ass off. He thought it was funny as shit because he understood what I was saying. The other three were just like in a daze. They're like, what the hell is this guy going on about? But the supervisor was laughing. He was like, yeah, well, you know, no matter what you say, you ain't getting through. You know that, right? He said because they're scared shitless. I said, yeah, it's your website. I said, does my website say anything bad? No, it's just they don't want you up here. Who don't want me up here? The legal society, the Crown. Oh, okay. That's fine. At least I know I must be having an impact. I said, that's great. I said, so hopefully the people in Canada, hopefully this will actually encourage them to look at my stuff even more. It's like, wow. They won't let Karl in? Wow, what's he saying? What's he doing? Is he like a terrorist or something like that? Is he dangerous? Why won't they let him in? Did they find drugs or, you know, bags of money on him? What did they find? You know, let's get the dirt on this one. It's like, they didn't find anything. Did they charge him anything? No. Then why did they put handcuffs on him and throw him in the back of a, you know, police car and take him to the city jail and put him in there for, you know, for a little over a day? I mean, what happened? Why? Why would they do such a thing? Why is he considered such a dangerous man that they had to do that to? Why? I was like, I don't know. Why don't you ask them? I just told you. Why don't you ask them? And I guarantee you they're going to say, well, we can't talk about that case because, you're not an attorney, or there's no reason for you to be listening, or, you know, all we know is that we couldn't grant him admission because he was in violation of the Immigration Act of Canada of 1992. I was like, yeah, he explained all that on his show. Now what's the real reason? What did he do? Because it's funny, the one guy whipped out the Canadian code book. I said, that's a code book. I said, now you're going to tell me I'm in violation of a code. I thought you said I was in violation of the Canadian Immigration Act. Which one is it? He says, well, it's in the code book. I said, no, it's not. I said, you told me it's the Immigration Act. Where's the Immigration Act? I said, this is the Immigration Office, right? Yeah. You're telling me you don't have a copy of the Immigration Act in your top drawer. No, you don't have it just laying around somewhere. No. You ain't got it online or nothing. It's like, well, I guess we could find it online. I said, so, you're telling me you're doing all this stuff based upon an Immigration Act? Yeah. But you can't actually tell me where in the Immigration Act it actually says that you could do this to me? It's like, well, we're doing it because the Immigration Act says you can. Oh, really? And so this Immigration Act is speaking to you now. This Immigration Act says something. It has vocal cords. I'd like to see this Immigration Act. I'd be very impressed if the Immigration Act says anything. It might read something a certain way, but I'm sure that you are not you're not the author of the Immigration Act. I'm sure you didn't create it. I'm sure I didn't create it. I'm sure you didn't sign it. I'm sure the person who created that Immigration Act might have a different opinion, says this has absolutely nothing to do with this man named Karl coming or not coming into this country. Are you willing to be liable for being wrong, for being in error? He says, well, it just says that the Immigration Act. I said, no, sir, you know and I know. Whatever it says behind that little computer screen says, whatever it takes, don't let this guy cross the border. That's what it really says. It says it has nothing to do with no Immigration Act. It says make it whatever bullshit you can think of, but get this guy the hell out of here as fast as you can. So it was a lot of fun. It was definitely an experience. It would have been nice just to, go up there, do my thing, and go home. But like I said, if I did just went up there and did my thing, the only thing that would have happened was a man and his dad would have got some help from me for some sort of like a DUI kind of case. Whoopie-doo. It would have been no international incident. So I don't know what they're so afraid of. Going up there to help a guy with a maple syrup, little maple syrup shop in the middle of Kamsack, Saskatchewan. I don't even know where that is on the map. If they just let me through, the only thing that would have happened is maybe the charges would have been dropped against the guy. Whoopie-doo. For DUI. The guy was asleep in his driveway, and they had the keys in the ignition, and the cops came to see if he was okay in his truck. He was like, yeah, I'm okay. And they smelled beer. And they said, oh, you're under arrest because your vehicle had the capacity to move and you were sitting behind the wheel with the door open. He's like, it was a beautiful summer day. He's like, I just felt like, relaxing in my truck for a while with a beer. He says, well, he's still going to jail. And his attorney wanted him to plead guilty to that. And he's like, Carl, I don't want to plead guilty to that. I didn't do anything wrong. I was on my driveway, on my property. I wasn't in the public. The truck wasn't running. And my lawyer wants me to plead guilty. I said, well, so what? If you plead guilty, how much is this going to cost? He said, cost. He said, they want me to go into jail for 2 years, less 1 day. I said, 2 years, less 1 day. And your attorney wants you to do that? He's like, yes. And the attorney has no problem with that. No. That's why my attorney says, look, if you plead on Tuesday guilty, we'll set sentencing off for 6 months, so then you could start like your 2-year sentence, next May. I said, that's insane. He said, yeah, that's what we thought. That's insane. That's the best deal we could get for doing no harm, no injury, no loss to anybody, not even driving the vehicle down the road. Just that it had the potential to be turned on and driven. I said, that's ridiculous. What if you had a gun on the dashboard? Then you get charged with the potential to murder somebody, the potential to rob a bank because you were drunk. You had your getaway truck, with the keys in the getaway truck and a gun sitting on a dashboard. I said, this is ridiculous. I said, Canada can't be this effing crazy. He says, oh, yeah, it's this effing crazy. I said, you know what, I'll come up there and I'll let me see if I can talk to this lawyer. Let me see if I can figure out, another way to go about this. Let's see if we can invoke the common law. Let's see if we can get this taken care of. So as soon as he gave that notice to his attorney that he wanted his attorney to be co-counsel and not to act and speak on his behalf, his attorney withdrew from the case. The attorney just wanted to take his $10,000 and throw the guy under the bus. I mean, I don't understand how an attorney could just do stuff like that. To me, that's just evil. He knows the man didn't do anything wrong. He knows this guy's an older man. He has a candy shop, a sweet shop, whatever it's called. It's called a sugar shack or something. Sells maple syrup. He doesn't peddle heroin to children. He doesn't molest anybody. He's not going out there raping, pillaging, robbing. He's got a place called like the Sugar Shack or something like that. It's ridiculous. The guy sells like candy. A harmless guy. And somehow it's going to benefit Canada to put this guy in jail for 2 years, less 1 day. That's insane. So see, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I went up to help Bali, and that's why I went to help this guy, because Bali told me that he had a farm, and the government was harassing farmers. So it's like, okay, let me go help the little guy who's being harassed. Let me go help this guy who's got a sugar shack, and he's being harassed, or he's being threatened to go to jail for 2 years. Because that's what the Crown always does up in Canada. They said to the guy, look, if you plead guilty now, we'll put you in jail for 2 years, less 1 day. If you don't plead guilty now, we'll put you in jail for 5 years. If you take it to trial, we'll put you in jail for 10 years. I said, I've seen these offers, you consider an offer from the Crown to people all the time up there in Canada. And like I said to the Border Patrol up there, I said, when the Crown hands them that letter, those people should immediately turn around and file a claim of extortion and communicating threats. Because they're saying, if you do this for me now, I'll break your fingers. If you wait 6 months when we go to trial, I'll break your legs. If you lose, I'm going to break your thumbs, I'm going to break your legs, and I'm going to break your back. It's a threat. It's extortion. It's saying you either do what we tell you to do now or wait 6 months and see what we're going to do to you. Wait 6 months and lose in the trial, and then see what we're really going to do to you. I said, how come you people can't look at that piece of paper? As soon as I got to Canada, somebody showed me that. I said, holy shit. They're like, what? They do this all the time. Do what? Do you know what you're looking at? Do you know what I'm looking at? What? This is extortion in writing, signed by a prosecutor, signed by a man. This is insane. This is extortion. I said, I've never seen anybody in the United States. People say that all the time. It's like, well, I was given a plea deal by the prosecutor. My attorney walked in the back room with the prosecutor. They came out. They said, look, just plead guilty. And he said that he'll tell the judge to give you 6 months. And it's like, and then somebody will say, well, can you tell a prosecutor to put that in writing? And they'll say, fuck no. Prosecutor in the United States ain't going to put that in writing. He knows better. He has no authority to make a deal. He has no ability to commit extortion. Of course not. The prosecutor ain't going to do it. But usually the judge plays along. The judge says, the prosecutor says, well, since he's pleading guilty and he's going to save us court costs and time, it would be best that people only wants him to spend 6 months. Sometimes the judge will say, well, too bad, whatever your backroom deal was, I'm going to put this guy in jail for 20 years. So just because you cut a deal with the prosecutor in this country doesn't mean the judge can just say, no, I'm going to put this clown in jail. Oh, he's guilty? Good. I'll put him in jail for 20 years. And the prosecutor could play, oh, no, Judge, oh, no, the people only want 6 months. Oh, no. Well, we're going to give him 20 years. 20 years is, like, okay, I'm sorry. And then his lawyer's going to look at the guy and say, oh, I'm sorry. See, the prosecutor tried, I tried. But that judge, I guess you're just having a bad day. Oh, well, see you in 20 years. Because in this country, they're smart enough not to put it in writing. Canada, they put it in writing. So probably after the Canadian people or the Canadian Crown hears this show, they'll run right back and say, you know what, we got to stop putting these freaking offers in writing. Yeah. Well, I tell people, you know what, why don't you guys find all those offers that they've made to you people for the last 10, 20, 30 years and sue them? Take all the old ones you got laying around and turn around and file a claim against them for extortion. That the only reason why you pled guilty or the only reason why you acted or did not act in a certain way, like take it to trial by jury, is because they threatened to hurt you. So like I said, I don't have no idea. Like I said, I was saying such nice, lovely stuff about Canada a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And now all of a sudden, Canada was not my main objective, a main goal. It's like, Canada, come on, there's a couple of people live up there, some polar bears, penguins, or whatever, who knows. And now I'm like making it like 90% of my show. When all I would have done was go up there to help a dad and a son with a candy store. And now they're like, holy cow, Carl's telling people to take all our rolled up proposals and turn around and come after the Crown for extortion. That's right, because that's exactly what it is. It's extortion. Communicating threats. You do what we tell you to do now, and we won't hurt you. If you don't do what we tell you to do now, well, you're going to see what's going to happen. And they put it in writing. I don't know how come any man or woman, as intelligent as these Canadians are, did not see what I saw as clearly as I saw it. I don't know why no Dean Clifford didn't say it. I don't know why any of these people up there in Canada didn't see it as clearly as I could see it. I was like, this is ridiculous. Do you know what you just handed me? And you tell me this actually came from the Crown. Really? And you do not know what you're looking at. Oh, they do this all the time. And none of your gurus up here in Canada ever noticed that. Are you serious? Everybody gets one of these? Yeah, you're not like a special case? No, the Crown does this all the time. You're kidding me. And nobody knows what this is. This is extortion. This is communicating a threat. And it's in writing, and it's signed. This is insane. Who would be crazy? It's like the Gambinos coming down to your boss, and you're going to buy, 3 cases of beer every week. And if you don't, we're going to do this to you. If we got to come back in 6 months and you're still not buying 3 cases, we're going to do this. If you don't buy it in six more months, we're going to do this, and this to you. And you know what? We're going to put it in writing and we're going to sign it. The Campinos would never be crazy enough to walk to a bar and say, no, you're going to do our garbage removal, you're going to use our sanitation equipment, you're going to use our beer supplier. And if you don't, we're going to put you in a cage. We're going to put you in a cage for 2 years. If you don't, we're going to put you in a cage for 10 years. And the Gambinos sign it and say, this is our proposal. The Gambinos did something like that, that'd be ridiculous. They'd be like, what? We never said that to the guy. We never threatened the guy. We never told him if he didn't buy our beer, we'd do this to him. Nah. How could you people just say, oh, the Crown threatened me? Okay. It's like, oh, I guess that people didn't even notice that. That's a threat. It's like, what? That's a threat. It's not a proposal. It's a threat. That's like saying in olden times, when a husband and wife got married, the judge or the justice of the peace or the priest would take the woman into a back room. and talk to her out of the sight of the husband and her family and say, look, have you been sold? Has this been an arranged marriage? Do you really want to marry this guy? Are you under any threat? Are you under any forced, commitment? And if the woman's like, well, if I say yes, that there was a dowry, or yes, there's a commitment, or yes, he's the local sheriff and he won't let my brother out of jail until I marry him, and it's like, I have to go through this marriage. And the judge or the justice peace would say, no, you don't. No, you don't. I got this, honey. I got this. And then he'd come back out in front of everybody and say, well, at this time, I won't be able to move with the marriage ceremony. I got a pressing engagement someplace else, and or I'll have to wait for her birth certificate. She doesn't have a birth certificate, or if she does have a birth certificate, it hasn't been certified by the Secretary of State yet, or whoever, and we're going to have to wait for that, to come through, and, we'll do this again in 90 days. See you again, folks, in 3 months, and give us some time. And the woman would be like, oh, thank God, thank God. Thank God this judge jumped in and blocked all this nonsense from happening, because I really didn't want to get married to this clown. So that's the other way they used to do it. So this is what I'm trying to say. How can anybody see that this is extortion and communicating threats? That somebody's trying to force you into something? I don't understand it. I mean, I guarantee you go back to listen to all the Dean Clifford things or anybody else up there in Canada, floating around up there in Canada. Not one time they say, you folks, did everybody get one of these? What? Everybody who didn't pay their taxes or a parking ticket or DUI or whatever. Does everybody have one of these in the Crown? It's like, oh, yeah, my son got one, my cousin got one. Do you understand what this is? You all understand that the Crown is committing extortion. They all know they're communicating threats to a man. You do know that. They can't do this. What? And they're doing it every day. Hundreds of thousands of these things are going out every day from the Crown, threatening man, threatening a woman. That if they don't do what the Crown orders them to do or wants them to do, they're going to put them in a cage. They're going to make their life miserable. They're going to hurt these people. They're going to take things away from them. So you better just play ball with the Crown, or you're going to wish you did. It's just evil. How can you people in Canada not just see evil in its face as it is? It's simple like that. I've seen it. I said, that's insane. There's a husband and wife out there for growing pot. They got one of those things. I said, this is insane. I said, how come you people didn't turn around immediately and just say to the judge, you see what they did? You see what they sent me? What? This is extortion. How would you report this as a crime? I'm like, well, we didn't know. Everybody in Canada gets these. I said, this still doesn't make it right.